10:01, let's rock and roll. Welcome to the Hammerdown Roadshow, where we're going to put the pedal to the metal in the hammer down and talk trends, tech, and tunes. My name is Jay Mervis, Healthcare Sales Director here at Fortinet. Welcome to the fifth installment in our podcast series. Change it up a little bit today. I'm here today with Tom Gauthier and Eric Wnuck, my two peers here. Tom runs the Central Force here at Fortinet, and Eric runs the West. We're going to go through a little mid-year update here on what we're seeing from an industry trends perspective, talk about some tech, and then we're going to marry it up with some tunes. Going to be a great show today. I tell everybody that's new here when I talk to the new hires or somebody new on the team, I love working here. Why do I love working here? We got a great team. We're doing some great things with customers and partners in our ecosystem. So, hey, let's turn it over. Tom, tell us a little bit about yourself and your background.
All right, thanks, Jay. Well, yeah, my name is Tom Gauthier. I am the Central Regional Director of Sales for Healthcare. Live here in Austin, Texas. Been in the technology world for about 25 years, mainly in data management, OEM, alliances, and also with security and networking. And yeah, I'm glad to be here.
Awesome. Hey, Eric, why don't you give us a little bit about your background? You're the new man up.
I am the new man. Just count me as the newbie. So I've been in healthcare 20 plus years, ran my own medical imaging centers for 15, have done pharmacy automation and then MSPs for large IDNs for physician groups. So really excited to join a great organization like Fortinet. Started my career at CDW with a very famous Hammerdown Roadshow host, Jay Mervis.
Yeah, we'll go to the little History Channel sometime, Eric. Let's talk about some of the customer trends, right? The trends we're seeing out in the market with customer challenges. We talk a lot on our team calls. We're talking to partners and customers and the ecosystem about the 5 R's impacting healthcare lately, how they're all interconnected: radiology, rural, resources, ransomware, all tied into risk. And I'll weigh in on what's been on top of mind. But Tom, I wanted to get your perspective on what you're seeing in the Central. And just for everybody's edification, Tom and Eric and I are on a variety of different calls and all kinds of different places, pivoting. We see a lot of different activities. So if you want to talk about something, definitely reach out to us. But go ahead, Tom. Tell us what you're seeing in the central market from an activity perspective.
Yeah, thanks, Jay. And there's a couple of main things. Obviously, the elephant in the room is ransomware. There's been challenges all over the place. And, we're just trying to work. And I think, Fortinet's got a great solution for it. But a couple of facts, obviously in healthcare, these criminals are looking at HIPAA, they're looking at people's data, important data for the patients. So it's a real big challenge. But some numbers here that are really dramatic. On average, 72% of healthcare breaches, leaks, it's going to be important data, but it equates to $6.5 million of loss for the hospitals. So that's a pretty big hit. And that's a real challenge right now. And they've got to figure out a plan, right? So we have solutions, for prevention. We have FortiEDR, we have FortiGate, everything we do here is Forti. And then we have our fabric and infrastructure. So, we can do the prevention, detection, we have sandbox, we have honeypotting, we have AI, we've got a lot of great solutions for that. Containment, FortiGate, FortiEDR, and then the recovery portion, how we're going to recover and help them with long-term plans. So that's one thing that we're seeing. I think we're all seeing that. And I don't say it's getting better, but there's a lot of bad actors out there. The other challenge that I'm seeing is, the lack of security professionals. Right now, at least about 6 months ago, there's over 3 million jobs that are vacant for cybersecurity professionals. 61% of hospitals or organizations can't find quality cybersecurity professionals. So that's another huge challenge. And, we're here to augment that. We have a lot of good things we can, talk about. We have MSSPs. We've got, a lot of great, I guess you call it solutions that can help with that. And so those are the two big ones that I've been seeing over the last few months.
Yeah, well, Tom, I read an article yesterday. It's interesting that you chose those two on what you're seeing for all the activity with partners and customers. But 4 out of the 10 largest breaches were in healthcare, which is, we don't want any customer getting compromised. So what's interesting to me about that is all 4 of those breaches were because they did not have qualified resources to go and stand up and manage environments. So Eric, I want to turn it over to you out west. You know, I know you've been here 6 weeks or whatever now. I mean, you're you know, running roughshod out there, meeting with customers, partners. I feel like your 7-Eleven open 24 hours because I'm seeing emails and texts all the time. But hey, what are you seeing out west, my man?
A lot of the same. You know, one of the things that I've noticed just jumping into Fortinet really is about collaboration, right? We're not a transactional organization. It really is. It's even more than just being cooperative. It's being collaborative in the approach with the customer and with the health system and with the IDN or with, you know, the life sciences company. I think it's really being able to be a partner in that process. And I think that's the separation that Fortinet can lend to the table with its channel partners, with its ransom, whatever that may be. I think it's more of elevating that discussion, right? It's elevating that partnership. And to Tom's point, the truth is that ransomware, if it attacks a health system, it not only costs them money, which is a huge issue, but it delays surgery. It has possible deaths involved to it. It's a ding on their star rating. It's a negative score for their reputation. If I'm a C-level individual at a health system, the last thing I want is a ransomware attack. I would be looking for the best partners possible that can help me prevent that at all costs. And I would be looking at Fortinet. And I'm trying to help educate and partner with our teams internally and the channel partners, really to just make sure they understand that if they really want to protect their data and how critical it is, Fortinet is really the only way to go.
You know, and Eric, that's a great point. Troy Amon, our field CISO, who we all run side by side with when we're talking to customers and doing executive engagements, he talks about choose your partners wisely. Some of the engagement we've had is going around, how do we solve for ransomware? Fortinet, from our performance, is a big component of that, as well as some of the things you're talking about with data vaults, data protection, clean rooms, all that stuff that is super important. Like, can you buy crypto? Do you have a policy in the CFO's office and to buy crypto and deal with somebody if you are breached? So those are some of the planning things that we love going on calls with our partners with, because we're part of that solution. And you're right. That's what it is collaborative. We don't want any customer getting compromised. So from a product perspective, we can distill it down depending on the use case. But what I'm seeing and had a ton of activity about lately is resource constraints. Tom, you hit on it first. You know, Eric, you talked about that in your past life as well. But the resource constraints is front and center on needing to be addressed in the marketplace right now. There's, you know, my article that I wrote was 370,000 jobs that will not be filled. And so what in my past life, you know, Eric, you joked about we were at CDW. One of the things we was automate. How do we do this cheaper and faster than the customer can? Well, it's not always about being cheaper and faster, but with the resource constraints, we have a couple of different opportunities when I get into the tech on how we solve for the resource constraints. The other thing that has been just white hot has been connected medical and embedded. Legislation, Patch Act, has come out in April, and everybody is mobilizing around this. There's two sides of the coin. The provider right now has all the burden of proof of protecting their environments. We all know that there's legacy stuff, Windows XP, you know, SQL 7.0, SQL 2000 stuff out there because the OEM needs to run something because they don't want the variable to change. However, with the new Patch Act legislation, that's going to force the security build of materials or software build of materials to embed security controls in there, which we're working with multiple customers on that right now, which is huge. I'll talk about those use cases in a minute. But the connected medical, in order to protect, we've got a bunch of visibility partners, 7 or 8 of them that are in our ecosystem. Talk about the collaborative and being ahead of ransomware. We don't want anybody compromised. That's what we're dealing with. So let's turn it over to the tech. Let's start with you, Eric. From your collaborative angle, what tools, software, what are you looking at, and what we're seeing leading the charge on collaboration with our customers and partners from a Fortinet perspective?
Yeah, lots of SD-WAN, lots of protection from ransomware, the sandbox. So any way that we can actually be part of that process and really integrate and have the ability. And what I think I love about Fortinet so much is it's not exclusive, right? It's not it really is. And I know nobody likes the word, and I certainly don't like the word as well, but interoperability, right? So it really is the ability to see and work and play with others in that sandbox to provide the best protection possible.
Yeah, I mean, we have 500 ecosystem partners, so we'd love to back up a Fortinet truck, but we know it's a journey and a process. We know you have contracts out there. There's certain things that people do love for a good reason. So you're right. Yeah, we definitely would love to back up a Forta truck, but we're willing to walk in steps. Forta Recon, Forta Deceptor, those kind of things to get in front of ransomware. Tom, what are you seeing from a Fortinet perspective on how to address the ransomware problem?
Yeah, well, I think, mergers and acquisitions is something that we've been talking about, right? We have challenges right now. Well, we don't challenge, hospitals are buying hospitals. We have, clinics, we have all these different hospitals getting together. And with that, there's a bunch of hodgepodge of devices, right? So we have, hospitals that have, I don't want to say competitors, but they have devices and they're trying to figure out what they're trying to do, right? So, what's great about the Fortinet products is, we call it Forta friendly, right? We have, like Eric was saying, I think it's over 500 open APIs. So we can integrate nicely with, whoever the product line that they're using, and we don't have to rip and replace. So we can save, most hospitals have challenges with their money, not everybody has money and a lot of hospitals don't. So we can help out with that. And that goes back to I guess Gartner Magic Quadrant calls it the mesh. And that's our Forta Fabric. Right now, the Forta OS is sort of the heartbeat of our Forta Fabric, but it's a single pane of glass. So, we have really defined or refined, what you can do and simplify the process, whether it be zero trust or security driven type stuff, SOCs, NOCs, what have you. We have
journey to the cloud, right?
And the cloud, correct. So got a lot of things we can pivot on. So it's Fortinet's a great place to be.
Yeah, cybersecurity mesh architecture. Gartner's going to rank that in either Q3 or Q4. 19 different products roughly that are in the, what a customer is going to need to be protected. And we're going to stack up well with our 50 product portfolio. I love it, Tom. What I see is from the resource constraints, leveraging the fabric and talking about that cybersecurity mesh architecture, driving and consolidating the threat intelligence. So having, with the resource constraints, consolidating that threat intelligence and making it one single pane of glass, being able to train people up either through the Fortinet training program or within a firm that comes in to do service delivery and trains the people up as they're deploying, as well as our MSSP world. We've been pretty much on the MSSP conversation with about 9 different MSSPs that we've had success into retail or OT, and they're super specific about that, or big players. But they're doing, most of these firms are doing a ton of work with us on the M&A side, because what happens is you got to work with somebody after there's a merger and acquisition. So the acquiring company can't go in and basically berate them for having security controls or a network that's legacy. Most of the time, the executives know that from day one that they're going to put themselves out there to get acquired until the day of the acquisition. That could be 2 weeks to 3 years. There's all kinds of technical debt. It's United Nations. So we can come in and consolidate that with what we do from security-driven networking, Tom. Great point. And then the Patch Act. The Patch Act is forcing connected medical, because on the provider side, that's going to force everyone to have an inventory. So all of our visibility partners, they do a great job of building out that inventory. What we do is enforce that policy and allow for that console to see everything in one and to create policy to protect those customers. So if there is a vulnerability about robotics, or there's something they can't patch, we have certain things within our Forta OS that do protect against that and allow them time to go get that patch put in place and work through that. So that's what's really awesome, in my opinion, here is we help customers and go the extra mile to make sure they're not compromised, because nobody wants a customer to get compromised. Because Eric, you were talking about that reputation, the HCAP scores, people, the hiring process, press gaining. We don't want customers impacted because they had a breach. We don't want anybody dying or them having to shut services down and postpone elective surgeries or important things that need to get done. So, and as Nathan says, our solution architect, we don't want the colonoscopy cleaning machine to get compromised, because if that doesn't get cleaned, nobody wants to see that happen.
By the way, I think we need one of those. No, just kidding.
It's an executive level dishwasher. Right? Hey, the call to action is from any of our partners or customers. We can sit down for an hour with an executive briefing. We do it as Eric's big trumpet was collaboration. We have a field CISO, Troy Amon. We've got a solution architect, Nathan Nichols. Our life sciences business is on one side of the fence under Sean Dickerson. Dave Zarro is our tour manager. And he runs all of our outreach for payers and providers and some of the retail healthcare. Dave does a great job. That's going to transition us over to Tunes because Dave is our tour manager. And today, normally we let the guests pick on my show. We had a little bit of a powwow on our director's call. Eric picked the band Motley Crue because we're kind of a Motley Crue. Eric reminds me a lot of Vince Neil. He's always happy. He's jumping up and down, getting the crowd going. Sometimes he's got backup singers singing behind him because he runs out of gas singing. Tom, he's a lot more like Mick Mars, a little freelance, quieter, but he does belt out some good tunes. I'm a lot more like Nikki Sixx. I'll be honest with everybody. My first tape was Motley Crue Girls, Girls, Girls from their collection. Came out in May of '87. The fall of '87, I dressed up as Nikki Sixx for Halloween. That was my jam. I went to Catholic school. It's kind of across the wire, but Nikki Sixx does a lot of the creative content. He has his own podcast, Married to a Flower Farmer. I kind of relate to him a little bit because my wife's a flower farmer. But Motley Crue, about 150 songs you can wreck your car to or crash your car to. They're on the list. They've got 9 studio albums. Over 100 million albums sold worldwide. They've got the great biopic, who Dave Zarro will probably write a much tamer biopic as our tour manager on what we're doing. We go to shows and having some fun. But how do we tie the tech back into the tunes? So Motley Crue, like I said, 9 albums, about 40 years worth of content. Everybody knows something from Motley Crue. Eric, since you're Vinny Neil, give us one of your songs that ties into collaboration or something about tech.
Oh gosh, Kickstart My Heart. Motley Crue, right? I mean, how could you need it, right? The last thing you want is anybody kicking it on your table. Get them kick-started, right? Make sure that nobody leaves that hospital in a body bag. So let's kickstart my heart, keep it all going. Let's focus in the right direction and let's work together to get something done good.
Yeah, Tom, what do you have tied into ransomware and some of the trends you're talking about?
Well, we talked about 2 things. One is the song Danger. That's a song that relates to all the risks that's out there in healthcare, ransomware, and we're here the 5 hours you talked about earlier, Jay, and that's something that, we can definitely collaborate and we can help with, so that's one of the songs. The other one is Time for Change. We're excited. Healthcare, we're growing the business. We're, showing value, adding value, and these healthcare organizations are really listening to us. So the time's right. We're excited to be here and whatever we can do to help our teams succeed, build pipeline, we're here for you.
Yeah. So when I tie it back in, I'm going to go to probably my all-time favorite song from Motley Crue for resource constraints, Same Old Situation. So the same old situation is not going to give customers what they need with the resource constraints and the threat actors just being more front and center for the 10 largest breaches were in healthcare. So this is very sensitive. So Same Old Situation doesn't apply anymore. So give us a call. We're happy to introduce you, depending on the use case, to the right partner. And then from connected medical and embedded, I thought a lot about this one. And right now, today, it's a little bit of a wild west on how we're going to, get integrated with, embedded tech, because there's quite a few different use cases and how we solve for that. We can't put a FortiGate in somebody's pacemaker. So, something like an EDR, but my thought is it's going to become without you, because if we do not address it and we do not deal with connected medical and embed that, without you means that customers are not going to be able to provide services, or the medical device manufacturers are not going to be able to get approved by the FDA. And then we can't provide patient care because they do a lot of specific things there. So I think about that. And then one of the other things, since we are healthcare, and Eric hit it with the, Kickstart My Heart was actually based on Nikki Sixx going to the hospital and then reviving him. But I think I would close it out, since I could not find a good cover. Normally I find a cover somebody else did or something they did, but Dr. Feelgood. I mean, we're in the healthcare business, and Dr. Feelgood, one of their greatest songs. And then I believe the Hackers, Public Enemy #1, right? So I'll throw another one out there, old song that's off their first album, but Too Fast for Love, Public Enemy #1. That's what we think the Hackers are. And it's getting old with, seeing these healthcare customers just try to stay in front of it. But that's what we're doing. We consolidate the threat intelligence with the fabric. We want 90% adoption versus 10% on 50-point solutions. And we're having a lot of activity around that. Before we jump on the show, Tom, Eric, you guys have any closing thoughts?
My closing thought is, hey, we're here to help. right? This is all about making this stuff work, and we're here to be collaborative and really let's find win-win situations, because that's why we're here.
Yeah, Tom, any closing
Perfectly
thoughts?
said, Eric. You know, that's our role here. Whatever we can do to help build pipeline, you know, build partnerships, be strategic. You know, please give us a call. We're excited to help.
Hey, yeah, like I said, if you want to reach out to any of us, healthcare@fortinet.com, pharma@fortinet.com. Eric, Tom, and I are on LinkedIn. Connect. The call to action is, you know, we're happy to enable the channel and talk to you if you're a channel partner and you enjoyed this. Share it with your friends. The other thing is if you're a customer, we're happy to set up an executive briefing. It's an hour. We want to hear what you're doing. We'll talk about what we're seeing in the macro market. You heard today a little nugget of what we're coming across, but you know, we're growing like mad. I don't know who my next podcast guest is going to be, but I got about 7 of them lined up. I hope everybody has a great 4th of July and put the hammer down. Thanks, everybody.
Happy Independence Day.